Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and we appreciate all of our sponsors, as Mr. Cox, Bill Cox reminded me of, and one of those sponsors, of course, is Barton Power Sports. And there's a big event going on today out on the Mount Moriah store, and we have Frank Barton with us this morning to tell us what's happening out at Mount Moriah store. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning, everyone out there.
Good morning.
Okay, tell us what's happening and give us I know this weather's kind of iffy, so tell us what's going on at the Mount Moriah store.
Sure. We are having the very first Mid-South Slingshot show. Those of you that have been ridden around town very much have seen the Polaris Slingshot. That's that strange-looking three-wheel rig, two wheels out front, one wheel behind. It's actually considered a motorcycle.
Yes.
But it drives more like a car. And we're having the very first Mid-South Slingshot show. It's sponsored by the local Mid-South Slingshot Club, and we're just happen to host it for them. And it starts at 10 o'clock, runs till 2. The judging begins at noon. And we plan on having it. We've already told our judges and contestants that if it rains a little bit, the judges are going to overlook, rain spots on the rigs, and so they are. There's some really wild-looking slingshots that are going to be coming in today for people to look at.
So
highly customized.
Judging, what are we judging here? The looks of the thing, the wild thing.
We've got 4 categories.
Okay.
We've got best stock.
All right.
And that means you can have any accessory you want on it as long as it was an original accessory from Polaris.
Okay.
And then we've got best modified, which is basically anything goes.
Okay.
You can anything. Then we've got best electronics, which will only be judging the electronics that
the
you
boombox.
added to it.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right.
All
Video equipment and all kinds of weird stuff on these things now.
Uh-huh.
And then of course we'll have a People's Choice Award.
Okay. So
where everybody coming by looking at them will have a vote and they can vote. But I've got local Mid-South photographer Dan Wireman, who all the motorcycle people know.
Yeah.
He's the premier photographer for motorcycles in the area and has a keen eye for detail.
So he will be.
Dan will be out here judging them, and that'll start around noon. And so it's going to be pretty interesting. I saw some of the guys down on Beale Street this week on Wednesday night at Bikes on Beale.
Yeah.
And they were all really pumped up and ready to go because we've had this thing scheduled 2 different times.
Yeah.
And we've been rained out on both of those.
Sounds like one of my hunting days. So.
Yeah. So hopefully we're gonna dodge the rain today, and it's looking good right now. So it's gonna be a fun thing. If you've ever wanted to look at these things, and see what you can do with them. Today's the day to come out to Barton Power Sports out here on 5715 Mount Moriah.
And you also got some Indian motorcycles. Folks have got some cool cycles in there besides the Polaris full line and everything like that. And the Slingshot is this is what, 2-3 years? How long has it been out now?
This is actually the 4th year.
Fourth
for
year,
the Slingshot.
Okay.
Fourth year for the Slingshots to be out. There were some early 15 models, and then 16, 17. Now this is the 18.
And you can buy
2018.
And you can buy one out there if you want to, right?
Absolutely. We'll treat you so many different ways. You're bound to like one of them.
All right, Frank. Thank you, buddy. That's today, starting at 10 o'clock at Barton Power Sports. That's 5715 Mount Moriah. Just look for those Slingshots, and it'll be a great time to be out there. Thank you, Frank. We'll talk to you.
All right, Larry. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I first seen that on your show schedule, I go,
Slingshot.
Hey, little slingshots. What's that? What's the interest in little slingshots?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I saw Frank Monday when I was over, went over to fish at Horseshoe with Ronnie Tice, and you'll be able to read about my story of fishing with Ronnie in hopefully Sunday's commercial appeal. I hope it will be there. Had a great day afternoon fishing with Ronnie because Ron Wong came along, and he doesn't fish in the morning, so we fished in the afternoon, and we really caught them. I understand there were 65 boats in Happy Jack Monday morning. There wasn't nearly that many on Monday afternoon, but, boy, we caught some slabs. Had a chance to have lunch with Frank. If you've never been to John's Shake Shack in Marion, Arkansas, I tell you what, it's any of y'all been there? You ever been there, Bill?
No.
It is the place to go. We're going to have an Outdoors with Larry Ray meeting there one time. It's about stepping back in time, the best homemade pies, fried pies I've ever had. Their shakes or everything. And so
get a slot out.
I don't need to go there.
No, I had a Big John burger. That's what Frank had, and it's big. I can eat more than I look like. You know that? So
I expect so, because you don't look like you could eat much.
Well, it's all right here. All right. Hey, Bill, we talked to Commissioner Cox and kept him over a little bit because we didn't mention CWD, chronic wasting disease on our earlier segments. And I know Mississippi is dealing with this, of course. They've got some confirmations in Mississippi, and, of course, Arkansas is dealing with this. And we're keeping our borders closed. But talk a little bit about that.
Well, CWD, if you haven't heard, chronic wasting disease is an always fatal disease, brain disease in white-tailed deer and other cervids, elk, mule deer, etc. But Tennessee has closed its borders, which means the people from Tennessee who hunt in bordering states must bone out the meat and clean the skull, any kind of meat or anything, brain matter off the skull. If you're going to bring the antlers back, if you bring it back and you get caught, the fine is pretty stiff. Even if you don't, you could be bringing something into Tennessee that will be devastating to our deer population.
Devastating.
One of the things proposed, the agency, we've been discussing for 2 or 3 years, but the agency's proposal this year is banning natural urine scents, and that will probably pass too, because that is, this disease has a prion that it's a protein that doesn't that you can't incinerate 1,800 degrees, it won't kill it.
Won't kill it.
So there's even concern that if in the states or where this prion is, that it will grow in the grass, and you cut hay and take the hay, put it on the ground somewhere else, you will contaminate that ground. The deer eats that grass there, it will spread the disease. So
if you got a high fenced in area that you're raising deer for the urine, that's the people that we're trying to keep out.
Right. There's a lot of synthetics. There are certifying herds. I'm not sure how this is working, but they're trying to get certifications where some of those high-fence urine deer farm.
That's what they are. They're farms.
They are, and we've successfully kept the farms like that out of Tennessee, where there's been a pretty good lobby to allow them.
Yes, there has.
We've been successful in keeping them out. So CWD is bad news, and we need to do everything we can do to not let that come in Tennessee.
Well, Dave, we talking, and Gene. Also, we've kind of done a bad news, good news type thing here. I'm glad we brought Bill in because he's brought a lot of bad news with him, because we're talking about the Asian carp, as it's talked about, and now we're talking about chronic wasting disease. And even on your beat when you were with TWRA in Region 1, you would travel throughout the area. And I've talked to deer processors, Bill, and I know Dave has and Gene has. Of course, I loved the days when Webster and we all gathered around and checked in the deer and everything. But now we're talking about check me on this, Bill Cox, the deer processor who gets a deer. I've heard that they're going to make them use selective knives, and I'm getting all these reports from deer processors that when they get a deer, they no longer can debone him with a saw or whatever it might be. So,
I don't know the specifics on that. I know that there's that it's been hard on processors and taxidermists. And we hate that, but this is not something that is optional. I mean, we just don't have any choice.
We don't want this.
We did a little hybrid a couple of years ago to try to not to just do it so suddenly, but when Mississippi has found one down around Vicksburg or Jackson, wherever it is. It scares us to death, and it costs, it could devastate your deer herd and cost the agency a lot of money.
Yeah, and you.
Yeah, it's
you have spread that word.
It's and I hold the theory of you look out throughout history and stuff when something like this, and it's been around for a long time.
It's been around.
But I think when it makes it to a new area, like it's never been in Tennessee, that it just spreads like wildfire. Till it kind of, evens itself out.
And you don't have to say it's just going to come to West Tennessee. It could pop up anywhere. I mean,
it could, and people bring deer back from Wisconsin or
Michigan
or Arkansas
or any of the
Michigan
states that
or
have
somewhere like that, and inadvertently cape it out, take what select cuts of meat they want, and they might take the carcass and leave it out, drag it out in the woods for the buzzards to eat.
And
that contaminates the soil. They did it through ignorance, but you can't do that anymore.
No, not anymore. Well, we got one more segment. We're going to keep Bill in here with us and talk a little bit. We close out today's show on this May the 5th. I really enjoyed it, and hang around with us. Going to come right back, and maybe we can get Gene Smith to tell us a joke. I mean, we usually have some kind of little short thing from Gene that he has talked to one of his 20,000 hunter education students. We'll be right back on Outdoors with Larry Ray.